Just this morning, Conor McGregor broke his silence and responded to the news of his withdrawal at UFC 303. Conor took to his Instagram to say, "Very tough to be ruled out of my scheduled return bout. I picked up an injury prior to the press conference that required more time to heal than was available to me. The decision to postpone the fight was not made lightly, but one made in consultation with my doctors, the UFC, and my team. My fans and opponent deserve me at my best for this fight, and I will be there. Thank you for the messages of support. I am in good spirits and confident I'll be back." Despite a 3-year layoff due to his injuries and Hollywood crossovers, McGregor still remains the biggest draw in combat sports. His return against Michael Chandler at UFC 303 on June 29th in Las Vegas for the UFC's International Fight Week was supposed to produce epic results, but an unfortunate injury to McGregor spoiled all of those plans in an instant. White, alongside infamous matchmaker Hunter Campbell, needed to pivot and pivot fast. It may have taken a little longer than expected to find a replacement fight good enough to soften the blow of a McGregor fight cancellation, but the promotion pulled off a massive move and booked Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prohaska 2 as UFC 303's new main event. Although this is a rematch, it's a huge fight in such a tight window, making this one of the best saves the UFC has ever pulled off. The bummer for White and company is they are sure to miss out on a $20 million record-breaking gate, but the UFC must go on. After all his recent dealings and trying to navigate McGregor's first ever UFC withdrawal, White remains adamant that it's all part of the game. The UFC CEO also intends to stay quiet about McGregor's injury until it's fully healed, but we'll see if that stays true. In a recent interview with the Sports Business Journal, White said, "It's a business, man. This is the way it goes, and from here on out, I'm not going to talk about it until he's all healed and he's right. Then we'll look at the landscape and see what we can figure out." You can't help but feel bad for Michael Chandler, who chose to sit out for over a year waiting for this fight. When the news of the UFC 303 main event fell through, Chandler took to Instagram to say, "Conor McGregor was never the safe bet as an opponent. He was always the highest risk. Maybe the highest reward, but the biggest opportunity. There's no right or wrong in business. You can only take risks to grow or remain comfortable where you are. Embrace the uncertainty. See the opportunity. Take the calculated risk." That's what Michael Chandler does. And if it doesn't go as planned, redirect the course to something even greater. Our respect to the man who represents the fight world better than anyone we've ever known. No fear, no limits, no excuses. Make hard work your passion. Who cares who's on the other side of the punch? It's a disappointing setback for Chandler's long, patient wait for McGregor's readiness to return to the octagon. It's uncertain if the fight will be rebooked for a later date or if the UFC will move on from the matchup. Daniel Cormier feels that Chandler needs to take a stand and resume his career without McGregor further delaying it. In a recent segment on his YouTube channel, Cormier recommended Chandler move on from the McGregor fight.
Ben Askren yesterday on Funky and the Champ said he thinks that it's over for Conor. He doesn't believe that we'll ever see Conor fight again. I was trying to disagree with him, but now that it's a reality, it's very worrisome. I don't know what my thoughts are about his fighting future, especially knowing what his life looks like outside of fighting. This guy lives the biggest life in the world. He lives a life that's so extravagant, that's so fun, that is so filled with adventure and other things. I don't know people could blame him if he wants to walk away from this. You got to think and weigh your two options of life. One, be on yachts, boats, parties, having all the fun in the world. Now you're an actor. Or spend months and months at a time in a gym preparing to fight absolute killers. Ask yourself, as a human being, what would you choose? Most of you would choose option A, where you're not sweating as much. And if you're sweating, you're jumping into oceans right after to cool down. You're eating caviar and the most expensive food in the world. Or you're in the gym every single day fighting. Most people would not even look at option B. Michael Chandler does not live that life. Michael Chandler still needs to fight. Michael Chandler, it seems like he needs Conor McGregor, but I don't know that he does. Because when you talk to Mike, his goals have not changed. He still wants to be world champion. I don't know that even if he wins, if this fight moves him closer to being world champion. He's got some options. He's got some things to weigh going forward, because I don't know that he should wait anymore. I think it's time to move off of this. And I believe that the overwhelming sentiment is that he's done. I thought Conor McGregor was going to come back because, to me, Conor McGregor is a fighter. But I'm starting to think, I know skill for skill, the Conor McGregor of 2015 isn't the same guy. But I thought that the star was still the same. I just don't know that he wants to fight, especially right now. You know, they said this thing might get rescheduled for later in the year, hopefully, but I think most people are very skeptical that we will see Conor McGregor in 2024. And if we don't, the more time that passes, the less likely it is that he ever steps in the octagon again.
On Friday, a photo surfaced on Instagram that appears to show Conor McGregor with an apparent leg injury. McGregor isn't using crutches, but he is wearing compression socks, and his leg does seem to be swollen. Alex Pereira posted the video of him accepting the fight at UFC 303.
Não, beleza, fechou. Let's go. Porra, como que não vai ficar feliz, velho, com a notícia dessa? Você dá risada, né, bicho? Você dá risada, né? Pô, isso aí, vamos lá, velho. Porra, joia, valeu, obrigado, velho. Tamo junto. Beleza, beleza. Vai me falando, vai me falando. Não, a gente tá, pô, tá trampando pra caramba aqui. Mas tô treinando também, pô. Você vê aí como tá acompanhando, não, pô? Beleza. Chama, valeu.
Que deu?
Las Vegas.
Que foi?
Vou entrar no lugar do McGregor.
Mano, tá zoando.
Sério, pô?
Tá de brinca.
É sério?
Vai meter a porrada. Vai meter a porrada. Ó, aqui.
Let's
fucking go. Aqui,
Chama.
let's fucking go. Tem situação que tem que olhar a planta do banco, nessa a gente vai montar no carro e vamos roubar essa porra. Vambora. Sobe no...
Alex Pereira is unexpectedly just 14 days removed from his scheduled second title defense. At the very last minute, Pereira has agreed to step in for Conor McGregor, rematching Yuri Prochazka for the scheduled second title defense of his light heavyweight crown. Pereira is not supposed to be fighting in 2 weeks. He's been on a seminar tour in Australia promoting himself and recovering from broken toes. Nevertheless, he has agreed to step up and save the UFC 303 card, risking it all on short notice. This is not the first time Alex Pereira has stepped up to headline a UFC event on short notice. The first time Pereira and Prochazka fought was at UFC 295 in Madison Square Garden, and the duo replaced John Jones versus Stipe Miocic as the main event after Jones' pectoral injury. Then, Pereira stepped up to headline UFC 303 when the UFC couldn't line up another worthy main event, but his bout versus Jamal Hill was initially planned for UFC 301. As a huge fan of Alex Pereira, I can only hope that he is getting paid well for continuously stepping up to save the day. It's certainly building his legend in the eyes of most fans.